All right, let's talk about something you probably don't want to think about right after booking that dream cruise. You've paid it all off, you're mentally already on the Lido deck, but there's a little clause buried deep in that contract that could slap hundreds of dollars right back onto your bill. I mean, you made that final payment, right? You got the confirmation email, the budget is set, you are done, paid in full. Well, not so fast, because what most of us never do is actually read all the fine print. And right now, that fine print matters a lot. It's called a fuel surcharge. You might also see it as a fuel supplement. Basically, it's the cruise line's emergency escape hatch for when their biggest single cost, fuel, gets way too expensive. If the price of oil goes past a certain point, they've given themselves the right to tack on an extra fee per person every single day. And here is the absolute kicker. They can hit you with this charge after you think you're all paid up. I'm talking weeks, even days before you sail. You could suddenly get an email with a brand new charge on your account. So you have to be asking, why is this suddenly a huge concern? Well, it all starts thousands of miles away with a global conflict that's sending some serious shockwaves through the economy and straight to your vacation budget. It's really a classic domino effect. You've got geopolitical conflict flaring up in the Middle East, which has led to some massive disruptions. The big one is the Strait of Hormuz. That's a key artery for about a fifth of the entire world's oil supply. When that gets choked off, supply tightens, and boom, prices just skyrocket for everyone. And the numbers we're seeing are just staggering. Brent crude, which is a major global benchmark for oil, has blown past $100 a barrel. In fact, just since this whole thing kicked off, oil prices have shot up by over 35%. And here's where it really hits home for travel. Jet fuel prices, and cruise ships run on similar stuff, have leaped by almost 83% in a single month. That puts unbelievable pressure on anyone running a plane, or, a 150,000-ton cruise ship. So when you're faced with these insane cost increases, the whole travel industry starts to scramble. And make no mistake, this isn't just a cruise line thing. It is happening everywhere. You can see the two different approaches here. Airlines are tackling it by jacking up those extra fees we all love to hate. We've already seen JetBlue and United hike their checked bag fees pretty significantly. But the cruise lines? They're dusting off those clauses buried in their contracts, getting ready to pass the cost directly to you and me with these fuel surcharges. Now, to really understand why they're so sensitive to this, you gotta get a sense of the scale. Just look at these numbers from last year. Carnival Corporation spent over $1.8 billion on fuel. Royal Caribbean spent $1.1 billion. With a B, this isn't just some line item on a spreadsheet. It's a colossal piece of their budget. Now, to manage this risk, a lot of lines hedge their fuel. Think of it like locking in a price for your home heating oil in advance so you don't get slammed in the winter. But here's the thing. The world's biggest cruise company, Carnival, and all their brands, they don't do this. And that makes them incredibly vulnerable to sudden price jumps, just like the one we're seeing right now. Okay, so let's get into the part that really affects you, that fine print. What exactly did you agree to when you clicked that box? Because let me tell you, not all cruise contracts are created equal. As one analyst neatly put it, the policies are all over the map. Some cruise lines are really specific and upfront. They'll tell you the exact price per barrel that triggers the fee and exactly what they'll charge. But others, they're, shall we say, a little more vague, which gives them a whole lot of wiggle room. And this chart just lays it all out perfectly. Look at Carnival and Norwegian. They're pretty clear. Oil goes above 70 or 65 bucks a barrel, and they can charge you up to $9 or $10 a day. Simple. But then you get to Royal Caribbean. No specified trigger price, no specified maximum charge, total blank check. And then you've got the real standout, Virgin Voyages, who just comes right out and says, nope, we don't charge this. For a traveler who wants price certainty, that's a massive difference. So this is the billion-dollar question, right? Oil prices are way above those trigger points we just saw. So are the cruise lines actually going to pull the trigger and start charging people? Well, if you look at history, they've been really hesitant. The last time these fees were a big thing was way back in 2007. The cruise lines know it makes passengers furious, it creates a ton of bad press, and they really want to avoid that, especially since they're enjoying this huge post-pandemic comeback. But here's the danger. The big fear among industry watchers is a monkey see, monkey do situation. All it would take is for one of the big three, Carnival, Royal, or Norwegian, to be the first one to blink.
As soon as that happens, it gives everyone else the political cover to follow right behind them, and then the floodgates could just open.
And look, we are not talking about pocket change here. If we use a max surcharge of, say, $12 a day, a couple on a 10-night cruise could get hit with a surprise bill for $240. A family of 4, you're looking at almost $500 tacked onto a vacation you thought was completely paid for. So what can you actually do about this? Well, honestly, not a whole lot. Those contracts are pretty ironclad. Your best defense is just to be aware. Go find your contract and read the policy for your specific cruise line. You can check your travel insurance, but most policies probably won't cover this. And finally, just kind of keep an eye on oil prices as you get closer to your trip, so at least a surprise charge won't be a total shock. And all of this really leaves us with a much bigger question. As the world just seems to get more and more volatile, is this a sign of things to come for the entire travel industry? Is that all-inclusive, lock-in-your-price vacation, is that slowly becoming a relic of a more predictable time?